Before it was released, was the issue itself, was the problem itself studied enough?
Oh, absolutely.
Its scale.
Of course. Well, first off, let me just say that we didn't just launch it on July 4th and not think about it in advance of that time. Actually, I started talking about it when I went through the confirmation process in December of 2017, when I recognized what was going on here, specifically not in Georgia, but in all of Eastern Europe, specifically the attack on democracy, if you will, the authoritarian approach to government that Putin, in my opinion, and I think in many views, is more of a self-interest than an independent point of view. And at the end of the day, I think that over the course of the last year and a half, we have not just thought about it internally at USAID. We've talked with our interagency colleagues. We've talked to members of Congress, both in the Republican and Democratic side. This has been a very collaborative process. In fact, we've talked about this to our recipient partner countries, whether it's here in Georgia or throughout my entire region. We've had an opportunity to talk to leaders, civil society leaders, political leaders. We've had a chance to actually talk about what those specific influences are. That's why we came up with the 4 specific pillars, being one, the issue of corruption and rule of law and democracy and governance, secondly, covered by independent media and disinformation, third, with energy independence, and then fourth, of course, economic independence.
How it differs from the USAID work in Georgia in general? How this framework differs from the common USAID?
Well, clearly it's in response to what's going on. So what I think it does is it focuses in like a laser on the specific issues, whether it's disinformation. And when I talk about specifically disinformation, I talked about earlier during an interview I had today about how RT and Sputnik have spent $300 million on an annual basis to talk about a different perspective, a perspective of disinformation where the facts aren't presented in a fair and free and independent way. And so when we think about what we're doing in terms of our programming, it's how do we not only create an independent media, but how do we educate the public to understand and analyze information and facts so that they can make an informed decision.
Some people may see it as as a race of funds, race of financial resources also. Is it so?
No, not at all. It's a matter of giving people a choice. The difference, clearly, in my mind, is how we give people a chance to make their own decision versus how the Kremlin will use it as a propaganda tool to influence and make the decision for the person.
Could you please name necessary steps that Georgia should make to become stronger in countering Russian influence? Well, because this is one of the countries that has some common history with Russia.
Right.
Like many countries.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's important to know.
Is Eastern Europe more fragile than Western Europe against Russian?
Well, first off, I think it's important to note this isn't about Russia. This isn't about the Russian people. We understand the dynamics of the geolocation of Georgia and all of Eastern Europe. This is about an authoritarian approach to government, not about Russia. As I said earlier, the Russian people want the same things that we want. They want independence. They want the opportunity to vote for their own elected leaders in a fair and free way. They want an independent media that they can rely on for facts. They want an opportunity for themselves and for their children to have independent economic opportunities. And they want a chance to compete in a world community that is not looking to influence their thoughts or their actions.
So how will Georgian society feel the work of this initiative?
Well, I think that they'll think of it.
Some additional projects, or how will it work here?
Well, yes, there will be. There will be not only additional projects, and by the way, that's not to say that we haven't had this framework influence the types of programs that we have had in the past. Some of our programs that have been successful, in fact, I would just go as far as to say diversification, right, in the economic sphere. When you can diversify a market and give people the opportunity to sell their goods to a broader market, right, that is an independent view rather than try to manipulate them to sell your product to a specific source. And so I would suggest to you that That is CMKI in a way, right? And that predated our CMKI strategic framework. But we've learned from those things, and what we've done is we've given people the opportunity to look beyond one particular market and broaden their horizons. And by the way, again, it's not a matter of choosing rather between the United States and Russia. This isn't a matter of choosing between one country and another. It's a matter of giving the people the opportunity to make that choice themselves.